Hi, I'm Kathleen, a 3L law student and a teacher and an LSAT tutor. I help students, especially those who learn differently, to break down the LSAT into clear, teachable strategies. In today's video, we're going to discuss how to manage your time on the LSAT, especially if you struggle with focus, which I think many of us do. So let's dive in. Okay, so timing is one of the hardest parts of the LSAT, especially if you struggle to stay focused. And the word endurance has to come up here. So let me show you how to pace yourself and still finish strong. So why does timing matter? The LSAT has 35 minutes per section, average of 1.5 minutes per question. Strong pacing equals fewer careless mistakes. And pacing is really the term here. And if you've ever trained for or ran a half marathon or a marathon, it's similar to that. And you have to kind of work up to it and really bring timing as part of your practicing into it. So the first thing that we want to do is start with a plan. So you need to know your target time per section. Don't treat every question equal. Flag hard ones and circle back to those. So, what we want to do is also set up a strategy focus. So, we're going to have benchmarks put in place, structured timing drills, and reset strategies so that if you find yourself panicking, we've got kind of a reset space. And we're going to use checklist as we go along to make sure that you're approaching each question with a strategy and using the right tools. That's going to help you with your timing. So step two is using those benchmarks. So logical reasoning, you're going to check progress every 10 minutes, reading comp 8 minutes per passage. The tools and strategies for timing, we're going to break them into chunking the section. So breaking a section to smaller time blocks. For example, 10 minutes for every 7 to 8 questions in logical reasoning. So you don't want to be constantly focusing on that timer. So you kind of want to break down at this time, I want to be here and kind of have that mapped out in your mind and ready to go. We will have practiced that before the exam. So it'll be much like when you're running a marathon, you know where you need to be by the 5K marker. So you're also going to reset your focus at each benchmark. And this is something to help with not just getting through quickly, but staying engaged and staying focused on the exam. So each time we get to one of those benchmark spaces, you're going to take a bit of a breath, do a little exercise to put yourself back into mindset, into the right space for the next set, kind of re-evaluate your mindset and get yourself engaged again. This prevents you from getting lost in the whole test exhaustion. So if we break it into smaller pieces, when I've ran half marathons in the past, I break them into 3K, 5K, 10K, chunks. And it's the same type of thing here. We're going to break this test down into small, digestible pieces for you. This prevents you from getting lost in the whole test and keeps time manageable. You're going to use your scratch paper for this to help you map out your timing, and you will have practiced this on your practice tests that you've taken in advance. So, step three, practice, don't wait until test day. So, yes, we practice these timing strategies in advance. Use a timer during your prep sessions. Train your brain to feel the pace, much like getting ready for that half marathon. It's going to feel like where you should be at that time once you've practiced it. The 30-second rule. If a question feels confusing after 30 seconds, mark it and skip it. Return later when time remains. You're not going to leave any questions unanswered, but we certainly want to give the time to the ones we know you're going to get for sure. It keeps students from getting stuck and losing 5 minutes on a single question. Focusing strategies, blocking distractors, studying in a quiet space, using scratch paper to stay active, and breaking down each question into 2 to 3 small steps. Prioritization strategy, teach students to spot easier, more familiar question types first. And for reading comp, skim all passages first and start with the most approachable. This is also about knowing the tools and strategies to identify question types, to identify parts of the passage, and you'll have that system down so well that it will become almost like an instinct. 5, reset between sections. Quick, deep breaths or stretch. And you have to be careful that you don't get in trouble with the proctor during your exam. But, even being able to kind of do a shoulder rotation or, something that just helps you come back into focus and give a little bit of a physical break. Don't carry stress from one section into the next. So new section, new mindset, give it your best. Treat each section as a fresh start. And then we're going to do pacing drills. So using a timer to practice 10 question sprints in logical reasoning. So you're going to build stamina by gradually extending to 35-minute sections. Focus on accuracy first and then on speed. So, you're going to line yourself up with 10 of those practice questions in logical reasoning. Set the timer. How long does it take you to get through them? That's something you're doing, though, after you've developed all of the tools and strategies in logical reasoning to be able to identify the question type, know the correct stem, all those kinds of things. Once those are in place, then we add in speed. Step 6, keeping focused, using focus anchors. So use scratch paper actively, underline keywords, number your premise, circle conclusions. So these are active things you're going to do to keep yourself engaged. Small physical actions help to maintain that focus. For reading comp, you're going to practice short margin notes like you're mapping. So 1 to 3 words per paragraph to anchor your attention back in. Energy reset tools. Micro break resets, such as closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, stretching your hands between sections. This keeps your brain fresh for the next 35-minute block. Practice them at home so it feels automatic on test day. All right, objective. So in summary, you want to have a pacing plan mapped out in advance. You're going to use benchmarks per each section. You're going to train with a timer. You're going to stay focused on your step by step. You're going to reset between each section, and you're going to practice these in advance of test day in your practice test. Check your timing every 5 to 7 questions, but don't get stuck on that timer or let it stress you out. So the key takeaway from this is don't aim for perfect pacing, aim for steady progress and avoid time traps. Use benchmarks, know when to skip, and practice with the clock until your rhythm feels automatic. All right. If this tip helped you, I'd love for you to join me for more. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next LSAT strategy, and check out the free study notes and resources I've put together for you. The links are in the description.